I know some of you will criticise me, but there's nothing like a good dose of E10 petrol from Morrison's. I usually add Valve Master Classic afterwards. I took my old C15 for a run up to Strathconon, which is rather beautiful. I headed down to Alness to get petrol. Then I went out to Dingwall. I went through all the towns to get to Muirvord. Muirvord I headed out to Marybank, and at Marybank you go straight up to get to Strathconon instead of following the road down to the river. But as with many of my days, there was a disaster. This is just a wee bit beyond Marybank, and we're looking out towards Benwivis. Now here's a problem. I stupidly didn't get my microphone properly connected to the camera, so from time to time you'll hear a brief mumbling over the sound of the engine. But my commentary for the day just wasn't recorded. It makes even the sound of the engine seem poor. Just come down to the river to get a wee bite of lunch. Well, it's good to be out in my wee C15 yet again. I'm just down by the River Conan here, going to have a wee bit of lunch. I actually might not sit here for long because I think I'm starting to feel midges biting away at me. So I might go back up to where I can get a breeze. Definitely midge-ish today when you get out the breeze. So I'll possibly go back up towards the road. Not so nice, but I don't want to be eaten alive. Well, I would have liked to have sat down by the river for my lunch. As I say, the midges are just too bad, so I'm just going to use the bike for a seat and have my lunch out here. What a lovely place though. Stopped now at a place called Inveroran. It's a place where we used to come to over 50 years ago, which is shocking to think, to go hill walking. We used to cross over to do what are called the Strathconon hills, but we did them from Glenaurin, and the way that we went into Glenaurin was over the hills there. I don't know, can you make out the track? The track wasn't so big back then, but that's the way we went. So it's a special place here in Inveroran. I think 4 times I've done an expedition over to the Glen Strathconon hills from here. Been a great run today. Today I have got a winter fleece on, I've got thermal underwear on, This is me at Meg Dam, and we're going to walk across it just now. We'll be driving across it in a little while, but let's go across the dam. It's actually one of the few dams in Scotland that vehicles are allowed to cross. You can see that there's one crossing now. Now here the bike completely died on me. Not a peep out of it. You'll notice that the ammeter is looking okay just now. I removed the saddle and then investigated underneath and found that the negative lead had come off the battery. It had broken off, and I must have touched something, because ever after this the ammeter was showing a huge current drain. Now I should have videoed what was going on my journey home. I eventually managed to get the bike to start on emergency mode, but that was all. I couldn't switch it over to normal mode then. So I managed to limp home about 25 miles, not able to do more than 20 miles an hour, and uphill maybe 5, but I did get home. The bike coughed and spluttered and was a pure embarrassment going through the towns. Well, I've got the wee C15 home after our bit of a disaster yesterday. I learned one or two things when coming down, but we'll take a look at what's going on with it. What I found by the side of the road was that the battery connector had peeled off. Now, if I touch, the ignition is switched off, but if I touch that to the battery and watch the ammeter, now the only thing that I can think might do that, that's connected all the time even when the ignition is off, is the voltage regulator. So I'm going to take it off and see what happens. This is the rectifier that has just come off the bike. And I am going to replace it with this one here, just because I've had this one sitting in a drawer for a good few years. Now, I'm still positive earth on my BSA, So the pin that is in a different plane to the other pins, that one there, and there's a plus to it, that is going to connect to the red wire to earth. And this one here, opposite it, that's your negative, so that's going to connect to the brown and white wire. And the other two wires, these two there, can be connected anyway to the output from the alternator. They have green on them, these wires. So that's the rectifier. I keep calling it the wrong name. That's the rectifier wired in my positive earth, going to the pin that is marked positive and that faces a different direction from the other pins. And then opposite it is my negative, the brown and yellow, the brown and white wire, and then I've got a green and a black and a green and a white at diagonals opposite to it. So now we'll repair this. I don't know, do you see that there's oil on top of my battery? I'm almost certain that I'm losing the gearbox oil into the engine. The oil tank fills up and the overflow is spitting out oil. I should really put a tube to drain that to underneath the bike. So I'm just going to use this that I've taken off an old scooter wiring loom that I have hanging around, and we'll put a male connector onto it. So there's the replacement all set up, and I'll put it on the battery. I'm noticing that the brown and blue wire has got a nick in it, so I'm afraid I'm going to shorten it. I hate shortening wires. That's the wire repaired, so we'll put the battery in and see what happens. Right, the battery's connected. And we're not drawing much of a current. That's the wee C15 running. Might be an idea for me to carry a voltage regulator with me as I travel along. You just never know what's going to happen, or what caused the old one to go.